But yeah, drop in the chat where y'all are tapped in from, man. If you haven't already, I'm gonna take a look momentarily. We'll start recording this thing as well. I don't know if I can do the cool guy shades for the whole call, but we'll keep it on for the intro here. We'll keep it on for the intro. Amazing. Okay, we're live on YouTube as well. Perfect. So let's go ahead and dive into this session. Shout out to those of you guys tapped in from all over the world. We got Santa Cruz, Thorndale, Ontario, Hungary, Nebraska, UK. We got, let's see, Netherlands. Can't hear me. Uh-oh. Don't give me nostalgia from this morning. We got DFW in the house. Let's get Abel. We got London, Poland, a bunch of people tapped in from England. Yo, the UK squad is here deep today. We love to see it. Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and dive into it, man. All right, let me take these shades off though. I think I'm just a little bit too cool right now. I gotta take it back a notch here in terms of the cool guy shades. There we go. All right. We're pretty cool without them too, you know. But you guys tell we're having a good time already, beginning of the session. Okay. So a couple things. Currently, I'm positioned in gold prior to the release. I was wanting to see us trade above these highs before FOMC release, and we haven't seen that yet. We're already maxed out at 100. Oh wait, no, we're at 80. Okay, why did I get the notification? We're chilling. But yeah, I was wanting to see 3,400 before FOMC, so I'm thinking we could get with FOMC that. Wait, is it 80% off TradingView right now? Yo, I low-key need to upgrade. So shout out to you for letting me know in the chat. I'm gonna check that out just now. There's like no occasion right now. What is the occasion? What day is it today? The 18th. Happy June 18th sale. You know, TradingView just does random sales, random times of the year. Summer sale? Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I guess it's the summer officially this weekend. But yeah, so I'm in gold longs. I have buys from here from Tuesday morning. I have longs from here as well as the risk reward ratio you can see on screen now. So, I was hoping that we would already have taken, ideally, these were the highs at the time of me taking a lot of these entries. So I was hoping for 3,400 already. Haven't seen it yet. There's two scenarios that I would be looking for going into FOMC. I'm going to pull up a clean chart here. And the two scenarios that I see for FOMC release. And obviously, there's usually two bamboozles. I'm going to explain what I mean by that in a little bit here, but there's usually two moves or bamboozles for FOMC. There's the initial release at 2 p.m., and then there's the press conference release. 2:30 to 3 p.m., you usually see a reversal of that initial volatility at 2 p.m. They're looking to hold rates, so I'm not expecting anything too crazy, to be honest, but I would not be surprised if Jerome Powell during the press conference, which we'll be streaming live and kind of reacting to live, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just like, good afternoon, and then the markets just go insane. I don't know if you guys have witnessed that in real time, but it's pretty funny. Um, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, just taking a look at this objectively, forgetting the fact that, taking my bias out of the equation for the positions that I'm currently exposed in, all of them are break even. We have a lot of liquidity on the buy side. Okay, lots of liquidity on the buy side. We've consecutively been taking sell side liquidity. So we had this low, which was ran on. Obviously, this is the lowest point of the accumulation so far. Okay, consolidation at a low point in price is usually an area where institutions are accumulating buys. And so we had, obviously there was these lows that got swept. We got a reaction, right? For reasonable reaction up to 3,400. We then swept this low. So there's your second liquidity sweep. We then came back and respected this low once, created some internal liquidity that got swept with this, move, which was pretty quick around 10:15, 10:30. And so really, my perspective on gold is we're just gearing up to take these highs and break out of the accumulation. On the inverse, we could see a run on sell side liquidity. I mean, we've been running sell side liquidity. So I'm not expecting or leaning towards that, but of course it's not off the table. And as a trader, your job is to try and be objective as possible, especially with news releases, because you will see a run on one side of the liquidity and then usually reversal to take out the other side right afterwards. So the two scenarios that I see on gold, one, which could be favorable for the longs that I'm already in from here, here, and here, would be that we actually get a bullish release, or not a bullish release, but a news release that leads gold to being bullish at 2 p.m. And then we get some sort of aggressive move the other direction around 2:30, 3 p.m. Eastern. That's one scenario. The other scenario is that, I mean, we could see this thing, do this, right? A sell to buy motion with news. And that could be potentially unfortunate where I'm breaking even on a lot of these positions and then potentially looking for re-entry. But yeah, obviously my ideal scenario is we take the highs first and then price decides what it wants to do, pull back and then continue or whatever. That would be the most ideal based on the positions that I'm currently in. If you're in longs on gold, I would just say adjust stop loss to break even. If you want to pay yourself partials, great. Probably a good idea if you haven't already. I've already partialed on a lot of these positions that I've taken. And so, yeah, but really the thought process here, based on we've literally just been chopping sideways. Like the whole week has been preparing for what we're about to see with the news release. FOMC week, it's just pretty typical to be honest, what we're seeing right now, just choppy sideways, boring price action. However, taking a look at the smaller time frames, we are getting, these sweeps of liquidity pretty consistently here. And it's favorable for longs for us to just wipe out all the buy side liquidity above these highs. That's again, if we're talking about this from the subjective perspective, that's what we're looking for. But yeah, I'm also live on YouTube. Yeah, I'm also live in real time on YouTube. So, this is the YouTube link. If you guys want to tap in there because we're at capacity now, this is the link if you want to share it. All right, feel free, go crazy. But yeah, so I'm not actually looking to take any specific position on gold as of right now. There's nothing that really is piquing my interest. I already have longs from this zone. I already have longs from, I've been just accumulating buys, right? I have buys from this low. And like I said, I have buys from the lowest low, which is at 33.68. So either, I've been accumulating with the institutions and we're going to see this thing fly. That would be great. Or we have one more manipulation lower to then potentially reverse and trade higher. So I'm not looking for anything in particular right now for adding buy positions. It's just going to be a matter of waiting to see what news does it too. However, if you're not exposed in gold and you're looking for an opportunity to potentially get exposed, hey, maybe we capture, these lows and then there's a reaction from this area potentially. I don't love that zone, which is why I'm not looking to add on to it personally. But yeah, yeah, we've seen pretty boring volume over the past little while, just kind of getting prepared for the release. Again, pretty typical, especially on an FOMC, news release day. So yeah, Goldilocks, not looking to add any positions, but ideally we see this thing fly. That would be great. And then if we jump over to DXY, what we're seeing is again pretty choppy sideways price action, nothing too crazy or exciting. I I would like to see at some point returning, price returning to this area. I talked about it this morning on my GFU live session, and this is still, what I'm looking for potential plays on a lot of the major currency pairs. But that would be really the main scenario and the only scenario I'm looking to play on DXY, to be fair. Some of the other major currency pairs are a little bit different. I have an outlook on both sides, but I wouldn't be looking to sell this, assuming we trade bullishly with the release and then to trade, lower from there. I'm not really looking for much. The only thing I would look for is if we do sell off initially, let's say at 2 p.m. to 2 to 2:30, we end up selling off. I would be looking for buys from this area to take this thing higher. from 2:30 to 3 p.m. and potentially holding it for the remainder of this week, depending on how price develops. So that's DXY. If we look at AUD USD, you know, I mean, we could sell from where we traded this morning. To be honest, we took out buy side liquidity. We traded back into a fair value gap. There's the possibility that this thing, just melts with the release. I think also possible we get a run higher. Maybe we sweep some more liquidity before getting that sell off, which this would be the scenario. If we get, this kind of sell to buy on DXY, it's likely we would see that on AUDUSD where we get a buy to sell because they're inversely correlated, right? If you're new here and I'm going quickly, we're 13 minutes away from the news release, so I can't really go super in depth into explaining all the nuances of what we're talking about here, but we got more lessons in store for another day. Today we're just cutting right to the chase. But yeah, NZD/USD, a little bit different story. We've traded into this order block or kind of trap candle. We call it a trap candle because there's people that were probably buying, here thinking the price is going to go higher, and then they're, trapped in buys. Now they're at a point where they could potentially break even, and it's possible you sell off from here. Again, not looking for shorts from this area on NZD/USD. It's just a scenario that could play out. The perspective I have honestly on NU, I'm not really looking for any sort of entry here. It's kind of like gold where I'm just going to wait and see what price does. I think it's a possibility that we could trade higher than where we topped out here. For what was this? I think we topped out at what time did we top out at? This was, yeah, around 11 a.m. 11 a.m. candle. We topped out here, selling off so far. I think we could, trade a little bit higher into what happened here, this little, distribution prior to us selling off. I think that's possible. Again, not really, overly favoring that. But if we're taking a look at actual entry opportunities and what I'm favoring the most right now, it's shorts on euro if we get it. If we get it, I would love to see, shorts from here. And this could play out again if we're seeing DXY selling off with the news release into these lower points of interest. It's a scenario where we could see Euro USD trade higher for potential shorts. So I do like the looks of this right here. I'll drop the actual parameters in the chat for you guys. You can pull it up on TradingView and by all means go crazy. Okay, don't actually go crazy. Use proper risk management, all that good stuff, not financial advice. But yeah, I like the looks of this for Euro. GU, we talked about it this morning as well. I think, all the major currency pairs are going to do the same thing. Okay. All AUD USD, NZD USD, Euro USD, GBP USD, they're all going to do pretty much the same thing with the time of release. You'll just see some, move a little bit more than others. And so usually what I'll look to do is with a fine-tuned comb, so to speak, is sift through and see which of the major currency pairs I like the most. And if we're being honest, the one that I like the most in terms of the setup, it's euro for sells. We might get it, we might not get it. You know, it's not the best price action. I don't love the price action. Uh, Alternatively, if we see DXY fly with the news release, we could see a run on this low, and then I would potentially take longs from here on euro as well. If we get down into this fair value gap, I'm not opposed to this, to be honest. This could be a good opportunity for potential buys for a couple reasons. Okay, if we take a look at the price action in this area, kind of had sideways accumulation prior to this effect again, cause effect. And so I would look for price to potentially return into this for buys. If we do get that sell off, I might be curious to take longs on euro with the initial release at 2 p.m. So, either way, we kind of have this mapped out in terms of what I would be looking for. If we, trade higher with the release, I'd be looking to sell to take this thing lower, targeting these lows. If we trade lower first, I would look for buys out of this point of interest to then target, this high and these highs. And ultimately, it makes more sense to be buying Euro USD than selling, just because of how weak the dollar's been fundamentally and also in terms of technical analysis. Okay. So these are really the 2 points of interest that I would be looking for on Euro. Um, in terms of the actual exact entry parameters, we'll go as far as we can see. And when we get there, we'll see further kind of thing. I'm not going to look to place the parameters down here. I'll probably monitor price action more than anything if we do trade down into that zone. And then, yeah, I mean, this is, something I actually would potentially place a pending on. I actually do have a pending on this for euro, assuming, we trade higher with the news release. But yeah, man, and then the last major currency pair that I like the second most, or kind of equally as Euro USD, is USD CAD for buys. This was a higher time frame order block. Price then obviously, traded higher quite nicely, left behind a fair value gap. There's also the fair value gaps overlapping, this higher time frame order block. So I wouldn't be opposed to seeing if we get a bearish release or bearish price action after the release, price trading down into here and looking for potential buys. That would be great on USD CAD as a potential scenario to then, target some higher time frame liquidity. We have quite a bit of liquidity, to be honest, on the buy side that can be, you know, taken and kind of targeted, right? Obviously, we already took a lot as well with this move higher, so it's maybe possible that we get a spike higher and then lower too. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. All I'm really looking for. And Bitcoin, because I see somebody asking about it in the chat. I'm not loving what we're seeing for crypto right now. I'm not sure why my trading view is like lagging right now. It's probably because we're streaming this to YouTube as well. Oh, there we go. There we go, man. They got the promos, man. This is the time to. Oh, this isn't even that great. Why is it only 50% off for me? Is it because I'm already subscribed? Nathan, is it 80% off if you're not subscribed? I know you said it was 80% off. Yo, that's crazy. Get 6 months free. Okay, well, I'll look into that later. Anyways, um, I'm only buying at the premium discount for sure. The Black Friday discount, you know what I'm saying? I'm subscribing and getting 80% off. Okay. I might have to message TradingView. Hey, listen, one of my guys is getting a better discount than me. What can you do for me? Negotiation, man. It's an important skill. An important skill. But what was I pulling up? Yeah, Bitcoin. So I like this on BTC. I think we're gonna flush out any buyers, to be honest, which is kind of unfortunate. I was hoping this thing would just fly. But I think we are gonna flush buyers, to be honest. So, we'll see what happens. I do think this low will be respected. I could be wrong. Maybe we go lower. Okay, we've been talking about 97.5K for a while as a potential area for buys. Okay, massive fair value gap on the daily. But I think it's possible we get a sweep of lows. I think it's possible we get a sweep of lows. Alternatively, I wouldn't be opposed to just seeing this thing fly from here as well. So either way, not really too focused on Bitcoin and crypto as a whole. I do think we have a lot of opportunity for alt season this summer, going into the month of specifically July and also August. But yeah, let's see what happens. There's not really, a clean, super clean point of interest that I'm looking to take a position from per se. I had positions from here, still have positions from here that I'm holding a break even. We'll see what happens. Either I get hit break even or we don't get hit break even. This thing continues. But I think we could, it's possible we could get a run on these lows. And then I'd look for potential buys from here. But again, not the best, I guess you could say, quote, idea for Bitcoin. It's like an 1800 pip stop. So, I would just more so be wanting to watch price action for signs of accumulation in this area for potential buy. ETH, pretty similar story. I think we can run on all these lows. XRP, pretty much same thing as well. I I mean, I want to see this zone maybe holds. I feel like these lows are so easily manipulated. So that's another reason why I'm kind of leaning towards sell side. liquidity right now. But yeah, man, we got four minutes. Oh yeah, GJ, I did actually share an outlook on GJ. This is something I'm curious to observe. Again, no limit on this, but depending on how news releases in 4 minutes, if we get a sell-off into this area, I would be looking for potential longs. So again, not like the best point of interest to be buying from. Like I like to usually look for super clean points of interest. Like if we take a look back here, this was just obvious buys, for me at least, it was obvious buys, fair value gap, overlapping, kind of the 50% of this whole move lower as an order block. And so, yeah, this just made sense for buys. And then this ran for like a 1 to 5 risk reward, practically zero drawdown, which was great. If we're looking for something similar over here, there's not really the same beautiful, sexy point of interest, if I'm being honest. It's more or less just the possibility of us selling off and then maybe reacting from the order block here. And again, this is like a very small cause if we're looking at it in the grand scheme of things. However, this was a major shakeout of buyers prior to the creation of a new high. So, hey, maybe we end up getting a little boom, boom, bamboozle, stop out buyers to then fly. It's possible. Let us see, man. I think it's also possible we could take this low. I think if we take this low, I would be okay taking buys to, target these highs and then stop loss beneath the low. So yeah, it's kind of a lot that we went over fairly quickly. But but yeah, man, maybe we'll take a trade live. We'll see. We'll see what's good and go from there. How do you get the green and red boxes on your graph? It's the long position, long and short position, which you can get on the projection tools on TradingView. So yeah, man, let's see. We got just under 2 minutes. I'm looking forward to streaming your buddy Jerome Powell in 32 minutes. That's gonna be fun. I'm actually gonna get that going. The cool guy glasses, man. Fed meeting with Powell. Look at all these comments, man. Please fly. Bitcoin 102. Please. Sometimes I just laugh at these chats. Sell all. Sell now. Oh man. It's not for the faint of heart, I'll tell you. But yeah, man, we'll take a look at gold for release. We came back to entry here, so I don't know, man. We'll see. Either I get hit break even or we fly, I'm not opposed to either, to be honest. I'll look to execute based on the release over the next 30 minutes or so. But yeah, are we in? I'm entered from like earlier today, personally. Personally, yeah. So they held rates as expected. Seeing gold move. Okay, let's see if this is going to be the push to 34. That'd be nice. I feel like it's kind of deep though from where we were. That's already like 100 pips. Tempted to partial here some more because if we're getting a spike higher on golds, it's possible this thing flips, which would not be super ideal. But let's see. See what happens. DXY melted. Not a whole lot of movement on Euro. GJ did sell off. We did sweep the low. So full spiking from the looks of it at the release of news. But again, usually with this initial release, you'll see the move kind of continue for the first half of the hour. So, even if we're getting like reactions like this, I wouldn't go to chase any sort of a position because you'll usually see price kind of hover or accumulate or chop sideways in an area for about 30 minutes going into that 2:30 release with the FOMC conference. So we'll see what happens. See what happens. I do like 3,400, and the reason that I'm not shaking it with gold here is because I feel like, you know, with 2:30 conference, press conference, for us to capture liquidity and then melt makes more sense than for us to melt from where we're currently trading. We could, there's smaller time frame, 1 minute highs here. But to me, it's like think about the vast majority of retail traders right now. First of all, over the past however long this was, let's measure this. Over the past hour and a half, people have probably been shorting golds just based on the fact that we've been printing bearish candles. And it's like we haven't, broken these highs. So wouldn't it be interesting if we get like a, price action flying to then bait in buyers and then we see the flip. But I could be totally wrong. Maybe we just melt from here and I get sad for being hit break even. Because my entries are actually from down here. It's not from where we're seeing it on screen. Some people might have been hit break even if they were in longs from here earlier today. But again, I have my exposure on gold is the highlighted zones. So we'll see what we get. Let's see, man. Look at the size of my water bowl. It's not even a glass. Can't even call it a water glass. Got to stay hydrated, man. Okay. So yeah, little move. Yeah, Federal Reserve left rate's the same. Not surprised. Not surprised whatsoever. It was as anticipated. I think we're going to get some changes on interest rates going into the second half of, well, I mean, we're technically about to be in the second half of this year, at the beginning of July. But I would be curious to see if we get some hikes, some increasing rates going into the later half of this year. Or maybe we get some cuts. I mean, who knows, right? Powell's always doing crazy stuff. The federal funds rate, or Federal Reserve, I should say, are always doing some interesting things. Why are you drinking out of that? So I have a mason jar. I actually have two mason jars I usually drink out of when I'm in Montreal here, and one of them's missing right now. So I wasn't gonna drink out of a dirty glass, and I was like looking around, and there was this massive. Bro, I honestly have no idea what this is. It's probably a flower vase or something. I was like, oh, perfect. Cheers, man. There you go. Don't judge me, guys. Okay. This has nothing to do with how many pips I catch. All right. Uh, you have it? You have the same one? No way. I need picture proof. This is a very unique water holder. Okay. This is very unique. If you have one, what is it? You stole it. Oh my gosh. What will happen with gold since the rates stayed the same? I mean, let's see, man. I want to see, I want to see gold trade higher from where we're currently at. But fundamentally, usually you'll see, interest rates trading lower is favorable for gold trading higher. Them keeping rates and not increasing rates could still be favorable for that narrative. Fishbowl. Maybe that's what it is, man. I feel like this is abusive, bro. Even if you got a goldfish, this is a small fishbowl. You know what I'm saying? You got to give Dory some room to move. That's just disrespectful, man. Centerpiece for the wedding, man, for sure, for sure. Okay, cool. So GJ is trading lower into our point of interest. DXY is not really doing a whole lot. GU is not really doing a whole lot. Gold, if you could fly, let me actually put an alert at this high. That would be great if we traded higher from here. But let's see. Yeah, GJ trading into this area is interesting. Again, I wish I could give you guys exact parameters for entry. I do. But there's just not the most beautiful textbook picture perfect setup. So we're gonna have to just observe price as we're in this area for potential buys. Again, I am not opposed to this low getting swept between now and like 240. It's like now and 30 minutes from now. Um, I think that is a scenario. It's possible. It's possible because it's just easy liquidity. Like if we're sweeping buyers right now, we're at a low point in price. People were probably buying with their stops beneath the low, getting swept as we speak. Where's the next swing low that liquidity could be resting? This low. The next one, this low. So if we were going to respect this zone and continue to make a new high, or even at the very least trade above this liquidity, to me, it's like we could sweep this and then go and then continue lower, or GJ will figure out what it wants to do. You know what I'm saying? So that's the thought process. But this is the thing with news trading, guys, is like not every time are you going to see picture perfect opportunity, especially with FOMC. You will not find, in my experience, you will not find as clean, concise banger entries like you do with NFP. I mean, how many of y'all, just out of curiosity in the chat, how many of y'all have been on my live NFP sessions where we're catching these, 1 to 5, 1 to 8s, 1 to 3s at the very least? Drop a one in the chat if you've been on those sessions. Um, FOMC, I think this is one of the first live ones we've done open to the public. It's different. It's different because you have two different releases, one going into the other. So usually the false spike that we'll look for with news, which is talked about in my news, how to trade news video, by the way, which is great training. If you haven't seen it, I'm sure most of you have seen it. But you'll see first move for the first half of the hour. Second move, 2:30 to 3 p.m. is usually the second half of the hour is when you'll see that, reversal. So this sell-off on GJ, I would be looking for it to more or less continue for the next 20 or so minutes, even if we chop sideways here. It's like I'm not really looking for this to reverse for the next 20 minutes, which is another reason why I'm not looking to, you know, take buys and jump into a setup, especially because there's not, I mean, there's like a fair value gap we're inside of, you know what I mean? On the 15 minute, like maybe, you know, maybe. Maybe we fill this guy right here. But this is like pretty minute, in my opinion. 5 minute is there. We already tapped into like the 50% of the 5 minute. 1 minute, there's not really a whole lot of relevance other than the sell-off kind of, this sell-off to trade higher is overlapping with the fair value gap. I mean, hey, maybe we see it find support, but that low that's on the hourly is looking a little bit too juicy for me to take buys right now. But if you want to take buys, I'm not a financial advisor. You can do what you guys feel called to do. If you were to take buys, hypothetically, this is what it could look like. Entry, stop loss beneath this swing low, targeting these highs, it's like a 1 to 5. If you wanted to be a bit more conservative in the event that we do sweep this low, maybe you have a bit of a bigger stop loss, but it's up to you guys. Up to you guys, man. So gold respected this fair value gap and we continued higher to 95. So we did sweep this high. Don's perfect world is for us to trade above all the liquidity at like 3,400, 3,405. But I mean, we don't always live in my perfect world. So this maybe that's enough liquidity for us to flip on gold to go lower. It's possible. But yeah, two scenarios on gold. Either this is the higher low to go create a new higher high at like 34.50. That'd really be Don's perfect world because I'm a swing trader. I'd love to swing trade this. Holding, some of the exposure in my buys to that 34.50 level, that'd be great. Or it's like we sweep this liquidity and then this zone doesn't hold and we actually see this turn into a redistribution to trade lower. I think that's more likely. Again, not my perfect world scenario, but we had, let's see, not really much going on with Bitcoin. Again, I think at the half hour mark, we'll probably see some more movement in crypto. We'll probably see some more movement just in general. So we got about 18 minutes before your buddy comes on stage and says good afternoon. So we shall see. We shall see. We'll be here until about 3 p.m. So we still got about 50 minutes on the session. Fed meeting. I want to find is this the official? No, this isn't yeah, this is the official one right here. There we go. Chat is disabled. Oh, wow. That's a nice, refreshing, or not refreshing, but that's a new a new experience. Usually the chat's not disabled and you can just read all the shenanigans going on. But yeah, this is the Federal Reserve, man. Federal Reserve, man. Maybe actually I have not done a Hidden Secrets of Money call for you guys yet. Have I? Do we have to enter gold now? I mean, Nick, brother, you can do whatever you like. I've shared my bias. I wouldn't try and chase a move higher at this point, you know. Um, there were better opportunities this morning for sure. So I wouldn't look to chase the move. But at the end of the day, you can do whatever you'd like, right? Not financial advice. I'm sure it's not the answer you were hoping for. I'm already positioned in gold, like I said. I got I got my three areas of exposure. So far, we're respecting this little fair value gap on GJ. It's pretty neat. That's pretty neat. We got an inversion on the 1 minute. Not really any 5 minute fair value gaps that we can invert until this 5 minute candle closes. We'll see if there's one left behind here. 3 minute, we do have a fair value gap that we could invert. Um, Again, usually I like to wait until around 2:30 to take my positions for reversals. That's just a preference. Donnie inversion plays. Yo, I gotta get JP sharing screens here. He's the inversion king, if we're being honest. So calls all my buys at 33.95. Happy with profits. Nice. Good stuff. You had it from 33.68, right, Hipsa? Did you hold that overnight or did you hold until I'm pretty sure we traded at 95 like and for 3400 overnight. Tuesday night, Wednesday. Dang, she sniped that. 66, 33.66. That's fire. JP, man, I might have to. Are you trying to go over some inversion plays, guy? If I bring you up here? But he's shaking under pressure, eh? Jeez. Credit goes to me. Nah, you were the one that pressed buy. I didn't press buy for you. I just talked about the zone. So we talked about this on what's good, Sergio? Great to have you here. Talked about this on GFU Live this morning for Nas. So far respecting it. Nice initial move. I know y'all caught buys from here, right, Blake? I'm pretty sure you guys caught buys this morning. This was a clean sell to buy. Sell to buy down in this fair value gap. Also an order block here. targeting your nearest area of liquidity, which is a swing high. You probably could have gotten like a, what was this? I know Kenner had a ridiculously tight entry. I think he caught like a 1 to 8. It was on US 30 though, but yeah, so I want to see this thing sell off personally from where we're currently trading. US 30, same thing. Marked this up this morning. 1 to 7. Let's go, man. Fire, Kenner. Let's go. We love to freaking see it, man. But yeah, so this remains my bias. Nothing's really changed here. Um, let's see what Jerome Powell says, man. Your buddy Powell. I'm excited to watch him with you guys. He's let's get some elevator music going, man, while we're waiting. You guys want elevator music or like actually good tunes? We got like 13 minutes. Oh wait. I'm streaming to YouTube though, guys. I don't think I can play copyright music. I don't think. Is that a thing? I don't know how this works for YouTube Live. Non-copyright elevator music. Oh man. There's your buddy, man. Look at this guy. Big jazz guy. Elevator music, no copy. Here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Is this really the first song, bro? Yeah. Oh man. Guys, I don't know if I can do it, man. This is brutal. Okay, I thought it was gonna be the same song for 2 hour or 1 hour and 17 minutes. Thank you. There we go. This is a vibe. This is a vibe. Have you entered GJ? I have not, because like I said, I normally wait until 2:30. But so far favorable price action, very favorable. We got the inversion on the 3 minute, barely, but we got it. 5 minute, we have not seen the inversion because we would need to. Yeah, I don't know. GJ, I think we could get GJ longs on stream here. We'll see. But so far, still sidelined. I would want to see another potential sweep of this low. And again, that hourly low is still on the table too. You know what I'm saying? So Goldilocks, I like the price action so far. I do think we're going to get this based on current price action. So that'll be nice. I would appreciate that, actually, Golds. Don't let me jinx it, man. All right? Y'all ever get the screenshot curse where you like screenshot and post an entry and then you just hit break even? Yeah, it's a tough one. That's a tough one, man. I had that actually on XRP. I had longs. This was like heartbreaking. I had longs on XRP from here. Where was it? I think it was 214. Somewhere around here. This thing ran for, I mean, percentage-wise, it was a nice move. Like 10% move, 2,000 pips or whatever. I screenshotted it, was getting ready to post it on Instagram. Did not partial whatsoever, okay? And look at price. Guess what happens? The screenshot curse happened, man. We had an inverse V-shaped recovery. Back to my entry. Broke even. I was crying. Not actually. We set a buy limit on gold. Guys, I'm telling you guys, I wouldn't look to... I mean, you guys can do whatever you want to do, man, but I'm already exposed in gold, so I don't want to give you guys a setup that's like chasing the move, you know? But this is, like, what we're seeing is bullish price action right now. Higher highs and higher lows, We didn't get a sweep of the lows, which is nice because it kept me in the trade. But we did get spike higher. Fair value got fill mitigation on the 1 minute, and this is looking good to continue higher. And again, I'm just looking to see, if we can target these highs at 3,400, 3,405. Ideally, I do think we're going to get that going into 2:30 to 3 p.m. window, that 30-minute window. But just as possibly, we could see this thing at 2:30, 3 p.m. flip. So I don't want to give you guys a buy unless it's high probability, Like if we're taking a look at GJ, so far, this is the only setup that looks higher probability. And again, I'm waiting still on this till 2:30 when we get to hear your buddy Powell speak. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, man. Euro USD, again, I think we've got more gas in the tank, potentially, maybe not. USD CAD, I mean, we are, USD CAD. To be fair, we're trading in a potential point of interest to go higher from where we're currently at, but I think we could trade and take out more liquidity personally. So I'm still sidelined on this. What I don't love about golds is that we aren't just flying. We could see this now that we swept this high, which I wouldn't love, but really what it would be. So we'll see what happens. US 30, we did talk about US 30 very briefly, in case you missed it. We actually went over it during, I'm going to throw this down a little bit. I talked about this during my New York session analysis, which was at 7 a.m. Eastern. And I was like, probably looking to see this trade higher in the order block to then go lower. That was given this morning. So yeah, that's what we're what we talked about earlier, and what I'm anticipating is for price to continue lower. But we could see it go higher too. Let's see. I like this zone to sell out personally. The parameters on GJ, I'm just going to drop the chart in the chat. And then if you guys want to, again, like I said, I want to be very clear on this. I'm waiting and I'm not in this yet because there's a possibility that we sweep this low on the hour. So you could take buys. You could from the current area. Like we have seen a reaction from the zone, but I'm not going to be surprised whatsoever if we sweep this hourly low. So I'm personally waiting to take buys, and once we do sweep this low, if we do sweep this low, like we're looking at probably a similar risk to reward at 1 to 4 at these highs. So I'm personally waiting. We might even get a better entry than that from an inversion on a smaller time frame. So that's just, I want to be clear on that. No official quote trade ideas with exact parameters given as of right now. Do me like this, gold. We could be friends. We could be friends. Is the music still too loud? Oh man, I can't do this on GFU live sessions. You know what I'm saying? This is only Zoom call kind of vibe. So shout out to y'all for vibing out with me. If you haven't already on GFU Live, definitely go and check out the sessions that I have on my page. We've done 3 sessions so far. There we go. Here we are. And if you pull up my stream, or my channel, I should say, there's the recorded sessions section. So we did 2 lessons, kind of starting things off with institutional concepts, smart money concepts. We did obviously actual live session analysis today. And we'll be picking up the lessons section probably on Friday. But we'll be back live tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. as well. and then 8 a.m. on Friday. So, definitely watch these back if you haven't already. They're an hour long, good material, good education, definitely good stuff to go over. And if you're not a part of GFU, that's where I normally am streaming and sharing lots of outlooks well in advance. And it'd be great to have you in GFU if you're not a part of GFU. So happy to share more information if you need more information. You can message me on Instagram. It's my IG here. And look at my note, you guys. Can you tell that I want to see gold fly? We'll see if we get it. We'll see if we get it. But yeah, you guys can ask me some more about GFU, which is the community and platform that a lot of you guys are a part of. Drop a 3 in the chat if you've been getting some great value, some great trade ideas as a part of GFU, just to tell the people in the chat that are not a part of the community they're missing out. I mean, if you guys enjoy these vibes, chilling on sessions like this, I mean, imagine that 4 times a week. Plus, there's literally so many other educators on the platform that are literally doing this at the highest level. So, it's like the Avengers assembled, right? For trading. I really mean that too, because I've been in the industry for 7 years now. I've seen the good, the bad, the ugly when it comes to real profits, fake profits, people that are educating that shouldn't be, respectfully. And we got the best of the best with GFU. So if you're not a part of GFU, definitely reach out to whoever invited you here, or you can hit me up. I'm happy to answer questions. But guys, we got 2 minutes till Powell speaks. 2 minutes, man. You're telling me they had music this whole time? Oh my gosh. They got good tracks too. This is a vibe. My bad, Federal Reserve. I didn't know you guys got down like that. Oh man. Here I am trying to play some elevator music for you guys. Literally, they have music on the press conference stream. Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? But yeah, man, so let's see what happens with your buddy Powell speaking. So far, gold hanging in there. GJ, like I said, still, curious to see if we can sweep the low. Nothing else is really favorable in my eyes. But again, with 2:30 to 3 p.m., we could get another move lower and then the reversal. So that's what we're waiting on. We're going to have more sessions for the FOMC news. Yeah, definitely. I want to trade all the high impact news folders live with you guys that I personally trade, because I don't trade all these red folders. I trade FOMC, which is like 1:30 to 3 p.m. I'll trade that. NFP, which is every single month, first Friday of the month usually, and then CPI. Those are the 3 main ones that I'll trade live.
Squarely focused on achieving our dual mandate goals of maximum.
But he didn't even say good afternoon. Hold on. There he is.
Good afternoon.
Oh, he did say good afternoon.
My colleagues,
okay, I was gonna say
interest rate unchanged.
Oh man. I thought he didn't say good afternoon. That's like always a meme.
I'll have more to say about monetary policy after briefly reviewing economic developments. Following growth of 2.5% last year, GDP was reported to have edged down in the first quarter, reflecting swings in net exports that were driven by businesses bringing in imports ahead of potential tariffs. This unusual swing has complicated GDP measurement. Private domestic final purchases, or PDFP as we call them, which excludes net exports, inventory investment, and government spending, grew at a solid 2.5% rate. Within PDFP, growth of consumer spending moderated, while investment in equipment and intangibles rebounded from weakness in the fourth quarter. Surveys of households and businesses, however, report a decline in sentiment over recent months and elevated uncertainty about the economic outlook, largely reflecting trade policy concerns. It remains to be seen how these developments might affect future spending and investment.
Are you going to trade FOMC with
In
it?
our summary of economic projections, the median participant projects GDP to rise 1.4% this year and 1.6% next year, somewhat slower than projected in March.
Oh, we got a graph.
In the labor market, conditions somewhat rise 1.4%.
So they're projecting continued lower GDP. Interesting.
This year and 1.6% next year, somewhat slower than projected in March.
That should be favorable for gold.
In the labor market, conditions have remained solid. Payroll job gains averaged 135,000 per month over the past 3 months. The unemployment rate at 4.2% remains low and has stayed in a narrow range for the past year. Wage growth has continued to moderate while still outpacing inflation. Overall, a wide set of indicators suggests that conditions in the labor market are broadly in balance and consistent with maximum employment. The labor market is not a source of significant inflationary pressures.
Yeah, typically lower GDP.
Projection for the unemployment rate.
They're also projecting increased unemployment rate.
A bit higher than projected.
Yeah, lower GDP is on paper
Inflation has eased
not great for an
for
economy
but remains somewhat
on paper.
elevated relative to our 2% longer run
So
goal.
there's that.
Estimates based on the consumer price
Shout out to
index
Lucy the
and
cat
other
one
data
time.
indicate that total
I don't know if you
PCE
guys have been paying
prices rose
attention, but she's
2.3%
like
over the
wanted
12
some
months
attention
ago.
right now on stream. So
And that excluding the volatile food
y'all
and
know the
energy
vibes.
categories, core PCE
The kitty
prices
vibes.
rose 2.6%.
Okay, Lulu, you're like right in my
Measures of
face though.
inflation expectations have moved up over recent months,
Here,
as
hey.
reflected in both market and survey-based
Yeah.
measures.
Vem sim.
Respondents to surveys of consumers, businesses, and professional forecasters point to tariffs as the driving factor. Beyond the next year or so, however, most measures of longer-term expectations remain consistent with our 2% inflation goal. The median projection in the SEP for total PCE inflation this year is 3%, somewhat higher than projected in March. The median inflation projection falls to 2.4% in 2026 and 2.1 to 4.5%, and to continue reducing the size of our balance sheet. We will continue to determine the appropriate stance of monetary policy based on the income.
All right, well,
The evolving outlook.
I don't want to bore you
and balance of
guys,
risks.
but this is usually pretty boring, not gonna
Changes
lie.
to trade, immigration, fiscal, and regulatory
Sometimes I'll just
policies
watch it
continue
for
to
fun. I think
evolve,
it's kind of funny,
but their
especially when he
effects on the
takes
economy remain
questions.
uncertain.
Questions are usually
The effects of tariffs will
look at all these
depend,
guys.
among other things, on their ultimate
guys
level.
and gals
Expectations of that level,
living their
and thus
best
of
life
related
with Buddy
economic
Powell.
effects, reached a peak in April.
But he'll
and
usually
have
take
since
questions
declined.
like closer to
Even so,
245.
increases in tariffs this year are likely to push up prices.
So we'll see.
and weigh
Gold's still
on
chopping
economic
sideways.
The effects on inflation could be short-lived.
Again,
reflecting a
you know,
one-time shift in the price of
spike
oil.
higher
It's also possible that
initially
the inflationary
could be a
effects
sign
will
of us
instead be
moving
more
lower,
persistent.
but I want to see if we have enough
Avoiding
gas
that
in the tank
outcome
to
will
reach
depend on the
3,400.
size of the
Nothing's
tariff
really
effects,
changed there.
how long it
GU
takes for
or
oil
not
to
GU,
pass through
GJ.
into prices, and ultimately on
I'm
longer-term
still
inflation
anticipating
expectations.
potential run on these lows. So waiting,
Our
not going to take
conditions
buys
to keep
yet.
longer-term
Again,
inflation
you know, if you wanted
expectations
to,
well anchored and to
you
prevent a one-time increase in
can
the price
obviously
level from
use your
becoming
own
an ongoing
discernment
inflation
and
problem.
figure out what makes the most sense for you
As we act to meet
for
that
GJ.
obligation, we will
But
balance
the
our
point
maximum
of interest, I
employment and
mean,
price
was a
stability
clean point of
mandates,
interest.
keeping in mind that without price stability, we
I mean, it
cannot
wasn't
achieve
the
the long
cleanest
periods
point of
of
interest, but it
strong
was
labor
a
market
zone that we were
conditions
anticipating price to trade
benefit
down
all
into. We traded down
Americans.
into it.
We will
And I
find
do like the
ourselves
looks
in
of
a
us trading
challenging
higher. It's just,
scenario in
do
which
we
either
have enough
dual
gas in the
mandate
tank to
goals
sweep
or
this low
intention.
too, or are
If
we
that
just going
were
to
to
go from
occur,
here?
we would consider how far the economy
That's
is from
the
each
question
goal,
for
and the
GJ.
potentially different time horizons
But
over
so
which
far,
those
fairly
respective
favorable
gaps
price action.
would be anticipated to close. For the time being, we are well positioned
Fairly
to wait
favorable.
to learn more about the likely course of the economy before considering any adjustments to our
Super
policy
choppy
stance.
today overall.
In
Gold's
our SEP, FOMC
specifically
participants
very, very
wrote down
choppy.
individual assessments of an appropriate path for the federal funds rate based on what each participant judges to be the most likely scenario going forward. The median participant projects that the appropriate level of the federal funds rate will be 3.9% at the end of this year, the same as projected in March. The median projection declines to 3.6% at the end of next year and to 3.4% at the end of 2027, a little higher than the March projection. These individual forecasts are always subject to uncertainty, and as I've noted, uncertainty is unusually elevated. And of course, these projections are not a committee plan or decision. At this meeting, the committee continued its discussions as part of our 5-year review of our monetary policy framework. We focused on issues related to assessing the risks and uncertainties that are relevant for monetary policy and the potential implications for policy strategy and communications. Our review includes outreach and public events involving a wide range of parties, including Fed Listens events around the country and a research conference that we held last month. We are open to new ideas and critical feedback, and we will take on board lessons of the last 5 years in determining our findings. We intend to wrap up any modifications to our statement on longer run
All right, man. Well,
monetary policy strategy by late summer.
nothing
After
too
that,
exciting
we'll
yet.
consider enhancements to our suite of communications tools, including the SEP. The Fed has been assigned 2 goals for monetary policy: maximum employment and
Definitely don't
prices.
love what we're seeing on
We remain
golds. This is
committed to
like
supporting maximum
classic
employment,
retail
bringing inflation
flag
sustainably
pattern
to our 2%
esque
goal,
kind of
keeping
vibes.
longer-term inflation expectations where they are.
Um,
Our success in delivering on these goals matters to all
if I had to
Americans.
guess,
We
or not
understand
guess,
that our
but
actions affect the
assume
communities,
what
families,
the
and
majority of
businesses
retail is looking for right now,
everything we do is in service of
it's
inflation.
it's probably buys,
We do everything we can
probably buys. I feel like a lot of retail buyers already got stopped out, but there's probably people that are trying to chase this move from the initial release.
Thank you. Colby Smith with the New York
I
Times.
mean,
To what
yeah,
extent
there's
has the
probably sellers with stop losses above these highs as well.
regulation changed your
So
view
I do think a run on these highs first makes sense still,
and the timing of when
but
they won't
we could get a run on lows just as possibly and then trade higher. So, again, you always want to kind of ask yourself, like, where is the vast majority of money? Where's the vast majority of liquidity resting in terms of, traders' biases? Where are they placing their bias? Where are they placing their money? Where is the money on the line? And in that regard, you can kind of weigh out probabilities for what you're going to see in terms of liquidity sweeps. So that's still a scenario I'm looking for, but also possible we could still see that. But let's wait. Let's be patient. GJ, I do like the looks of this continuing to chop higher. Based on what we're seeing and the fact we haven't seen it already, it's looking like this will hold. At any time that could change, right? Like we could get a very quick move like this, and I'm personally okay missing the move, not entering right now to chase this if we don't get the sell-off to capture this low. But I would prefer personally to not be a part of this move and it flies from here, then, you know, yeah, I would prefer not to be a part of the move and it flies than I would to chase this trade and position right now based on what we've already seen. But I think it's still, I mean, based on price action, it doesn't look like it's as likely, but that was obviously the more ideal scenario for me
how we should interpret the
for GJ. It looks like gold's starting to see a
reflecting that
bit of movement lower.
inflation will just stay well
So we swept the bottom of this quote flag
move ahead with
people are looking at.
or is it about responding to a deterioration in economic
Yeah, let's see. GJ could just go from here.
I mean, how should we make sense
Looks like it's going to be honest. Limits on EU still intact. Yeah, yeah, I still think this is on the table. I just don't think we're going to get it with FOMC based on price action. If we were going to get it, we would have wanted to have seen this at the time of release or with 230. But we did get a false spike higher, and it's looking like we're selling off, which is, again, false spike, reversal, pretty typical with news. But it just doesn't look like we're going to be getting this today based on price. This could be a nice sell to buy on gold, though. We'll see. Pretty anticlimactic today, though. I think the last FOMC or the one before it was a lot more volatile. Yeah, I mean, EU is still valid. There's nothing that invalidates euro sells from this point of interest unless ideally, we don't take this out. If we get this, you can then target those lows. But if we end up taking the lows first, then I would delete the limit because it's not going to be as clean of. I mean, if we take this out and then price trades higher, there could be a new set of lows you could target that's still favorable, but I would just be a little bit less confident in taking sells if we had already taken those lows, if that makes sense. Because that's kind of like the target, right? Target that we have. Oh man, I'm beating myself up for not holding this sell on GU. This was a banger to start the week, man. And I closed it at a 1-3. Sad Donnie. That created a sad Donnie. Sad Donnie. Because it looks like we're going to continue melting from here. This thing would be like almost a 1-11 risk to reward. Way she goes. NAS and US 30 initial anticipation from the beginning of my session this morning at 7 a.m. was for price to trade higher and then potentially go lower. We did get a rejection from the zone. I would not look to replay the zone if we trade back into it. It's possible we could trade through the zone. But we did get a nice initial reaction. And I mean, it could hold potentially. But is he taking questions now? Yeah, he is.
Thank you. Chris Rugaber at Associated Press. There is an argument out there in favor of cutting rates more immediately. Inflation has continued to cool and is back to roughly 2% despite the tariffs. And I guess I also wanted to ask about, cracks in the job market with gross hiring slowing, concentrated in just a few industries. We've seen some housing data, including this morning, that have been pretty weak. Do you see any concerns that the economy is weakening and that is a reason to cut rates going forward?
So we do of course monitor all those things. I think if you look at the overall picture, what you're seeing is 4.2% unemployment and an economy that's growing at a rate hard to know given the unusual flows in the first quarter, but it appears to be 1.5–2%, maybe a little better than that. Sentiment has come up off of its very low levels. It's still depressed. So you can point to things. The housing market is a longer run problem and also a short run problem. I don't think it's indicative of basically the situation is we have a longer run shortage of housing, and we also have high rates right now. I think the best thing we can do for the housing market is to restore price stability in a sustainable way and create a strong labor market, and that's the best thing we can do for the housing market. You asked about the job market. Again, look at labor force participation, look at wages, look at job creation. They're all at healthy levels now. I would say you can see perhaps a very, very slow continued cooling, but nothing that's troubling at this time. But we watch it very, very carefully. So overall, again, the current stance of monetary policy leaves us well positioned to respond in a timely way to economic developments, and for now, and we'll be watching the data carefully.
Well, just quickly on, given that there are concerns inflation will rise, but there is the alternate scenario that tariffs would create demand destruction and slow growth sufficiently, and that would perhaps keep a bit of a lid on inflation. Do you see
I'm not the only one that finds this
that
super
scenario, or
boring
what
to
would it
like
cost
listen
to
to,
see that
right?
scenario coming true, and how many months of full inflation would you need to see
I just
before
think it's fun to kind of like watch
that
and
lower
just be
inflation
like,
scenario is taking place?
So
gosh,
this
this
is
is
part of the
like
conversation we had
awful. You know what I mean?
yesterday. There are many, many
Just
different
super
scenarios, many
boring.
combinations
But
of scenarios where
sometimes there'll be
inflation
some
does or
major
doesn't
volatility brought in from the press
deteriorate as
conference.
we think, and where the labor market does or
Um,
doesn't soften. And I think
so yeah,
what you're
I think
seeing
based on what
in
gold's
communities
showing,
looking
if we were to
ahead
take off all
with a fairly
markups, we
high
had a
certainty
spike higher
and writing down what they think the most likely
with the
case
initial
is. No
release.
one
We
holds
did
those
sweep this
specific
high.
rate
We're
paths
currently
with a
printing
great deal of
bearish
conviction,
price action.
and
I
they're
think
able
it's
to
looking like we're going to go
predict
lower
that they're all
on gold.
interdependent and that you can use
Unfortunately, we
them
did
as sort of
not see
for
3,400.
any of the rate paths. I think
That could
it's
change. Maybe we do see it,
and we
but
do this
I'm
because
probably going
it's
to be
hard to know
sidelined on
this
gold and
particular
potentially hit
scenario.
break
But
even
it does reflect, if you see
on
somebody
some of
writing
my
down
buys here
a rate path that involves
based on what we're currently
rates
seeing. We're
that
going
are
into the
saying,
top of the
yes, I think
hour.
we will get to that
So
place more likely than
I'd
not.
say like the news move took place.
And it
You
could
know what I mean?
be
This is where we traded back into right at the time of,
possible outcomes.
well, a couple of
But
minutes
again,
before
remember how much
that
uncertainty
2 p.m.
there is.
news. 2 p.m. news, we flew from this area to the peak. It was about 100 pips. Really not that crazy for gold for an FOMC day. Usually you'll see a lot more volatility than that, but yeah, not it is what it is. Not the most favorable for my buys, but again, I didn't take this. This was from like earlier today.
That will happen. We know that the time
During this is like yeah around 11 a.m. this morning, but yeah, it's looking like we're
as
gonna
long as the
be hit
economy
out
is
break
solid,
even
as
on
long as we're seeing
the position that I had there. We'll see if my
reasonably
positions
decent growth
from
and inflation moving
33.75 get hit
the
out.
right thing to do is to be where
It's
we
on the
are, where our
table.
policy stance is, and just
It's
learn
on the
more.
table.
In
So we'll
particular,
see what happens with
we're going
gold.
to learn a great deal more
GJ, for those of you guys
on
that,
tariffs.
maybe did position yourself, we're currently trading in profit.
Much by now, and they haven't.
This
And we'll see
from
where the
around
market
entry, depending on where you got your entry,
overcoming
is
last
up
year. I think that's
about
going to
20
be more
pips.
than
Nothing
anything else,
crazy.
for one thing. In addition, we'll see how
But again, I would be, if you are
goes.
positioned in
And some things
GJ,
will become clear. I can't tell you exactly
depending on your entry,
And, meanwhile,
I
we'll be
would be
watching the
looking
market
to
very
partial
closely.
probably at these highs here
And tariffs
and go break even
certainly
certainly at that point as
of
well.
course,
But follow your own plan.
what's ahead.
Whatever you have in store. Again, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't tell you what to
We
do,
don't yet know with any confidence
but
how things will settle out.
you got to kind of gauge
And
based
super
on price action what you
pause
feel
for
makes the most
together.
sense, right?
But it's highly uncertain.
For you with your trading plan and strategy and experience in the market. So yeah, man, that's I mean pretty much gonna wrap up the session, to be honest. There's not really anything else that I wanted to go over. We've been here for about an hour and almost an hour and a half, almost an hour and 30 minutes. But
Is a whole process that's very uncertain.
we could see gold do a sell to buy. There's not a point of interest I'd be looking to buy from though. That's the thing.
retailer and the consumer.
That's the thing. Like if we had like a clean point of interest for buys, I might
For the tariff.
look to position myself. Like I did talk about maybe we could get buys off this and we sweep this low at 33.81, which we just did sweep.
We haven't been through.
But
I think we have to be humble about our ability to.
again, it's not like
That's why we need to see some
super clean, high probability. So I'm just going to be,
more data. And again, in the meantime, we can do that because
probably observing price action. There's not really much I'm going to be. I just got hit break even on these buys. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the session, you guys. Not really anything too exciting today, but we will be back for. I'll be back on GFU Live tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. So we'll pick up from there. We'll see where we're at. I'm pretty much done for the day. I don't think we're going to get any sort of other exciting opportunities for the remainder of today. But yeah, and then next news trading session will probably be the NFP session in July, which will be July 3rd. So that'll be only accessible in GFU on GFU Connect, or not GFU Connect, sorry, but GFU Live. So that's where we'll be live for live NFP session this month. So if you're not already a part of GFU, definitely be on the lookout for that. There is no buy limit for golds. There is no buy limit or opportunity shared for gold as of right now. I'm completely sidelined. for that. The only opportunity that we really shared that's panned out was GJ from prior to news releasing. We saw news release, we sold off, traded it in the point of interest. So far, favorable price action. So we'll see what happens from here. But yeah, fam, enjoy the rest of the Wednesday. Don't do anything silly. Don't try and like chase moves that are already happening in the market, right? Be patient, follow your rules, and I look forward to seeing you guys on New York session tomorrow for those of you guys that are part of GFU. And with that being said, much love, everybody. Peace out. Happy Wednesday. See you all very soon.